10 years ago, I set out on my first ever international bike tour. I went from the port of Caen in Normandy, down the Normandy coast, ending in the Brittany port of St Malo. During this time, I cycled through history down the D-Day beaches, through to the medieval town of Mont St Michel, passing through stunning French landscapes, ending in Brittany. This story is about my first international bike touring trip. A bit of backstory, I'd done a few trips in Australia and I used to go back to the UK every year to see family, and I decided that I would like to do an international trip. Now, my family lived on the south coast of England, quite close to the Channel ferries across to France. So this is my story. Now in this video I want to tell you what I learned, tell you my mistakes, because I did make some mistakes and I made them really early on in the trip. I want to give you the route that the route that I took, and it's going to be I'll share this through via my Ride with GPS. So I'll have all the GPX tracks, but the hotels, this allowing for the fact that this was like over 12 years ago, 10-12 years ago, if the hotels are still there, and the information that I did to do this route. Now this is a really good route for someone who lives in the UK. Easy to get to, loads of hotels, short distances during the day, and yeah, it was just a fantastic trip. Now, I'd firstly like to speak about the bike I used. Now, this is not the actual bike that I did use, but this is a very similar setup. Now, I was staying in hotels, so I really only needed 2 panniers, and I had 2 medium-sized, medium to small panniers on the back, and a couple of bottle bags and a handlebar bag on the front. Now I try to get into the routine by splitting up the gear in the panniers, and have my camera equipment one side and my clothes and washing gear on the other. I always try to remember which side was which. Now on the first day, well, I'll say the first day, I cycled from my parents into Portsmouth. I stayed at a hotel in Portsmouth. This trip, there was no camping, it was all going to be hotels, just to keep it simple. I stayed at a hotel in Portsmouth and rocked up for the ferry, the Brittany ferry's first morning trip to Caen, the port of Caen, which arrives in Ouistreham on the Normandy coast. Now, I had a friend, his uncle was killed, was an airborne paratrooper. His uncle was killed in the early hours of D-Day and was buried in a church not far from Ouistreham. So I decided that I was going to take a trip out there, visit his grave, visit the church, and yeah, just to pay my respects. Now, day one proper, I packed up my stuff. I started early. I was on the road by 7:30. Packed up my stuff in my hotel. I just had a bike and panniers, two big panniers at the back. And I cycled and off I went down the Normandy coast, passing places like Arromanches, the Canadian War Memorial at Juno Beach, and ending up in a small town called Port En Bessin, which is a small fishing port. Beautiful little fishing port. Now, its significance in D-Day was that it was the location of the fuel supply for the D-Day landing. So once they managed to get across, they ran pipes from the UK to Port En Bessin and for the fuel. Now, at the time when what I didn't realise was Port En Bessin had a fishing boat festival going on, treated to some dressed up fishing boats and a firework display at the end of the day. My hotel in Port En Bessin was the Ibis Bayer Port En Bessin. It was a very nice hotel, great value. They even had a lock-up area for the bike. The rooms were well presented and of good standard, and the staff were friendly. Right on the harbour. An early start again today. I'll leave the hotel and head for the US Cemetery at Omaha Beach. Omaha Beach is well worth the visit if you get the chance to go. The graves of 9,400 US servicemen. Has a visitor centre and the history and the loss that was seen during the Normandy landings. After spending a couple of hours there, I then headed south inland through the French countryside, sticking to mainly D roads, which were very quiet, very little traffic, to the city of St. Lo. In St. Lo, I stayed at another Ibis hotel overnight, had a great rest, and prepared myself for the next day. My days always start early because I like to get where I'm going by lunch, so I leave St. Lo and head in a southwesterly direction towards the seaside town of Granville, which is on the west coast of Normandy. Again, a great little beautiful town. Granville is the home of the famous Dior family. Again, Granville, I stayed in an Ibis, which was right on the marina. Again, another beautiful hotel, a great restaurant, and Granville was stunning. I managed to capture a beautiful sunset that evening. Now I leave Granville and head down the Normandy coast, the western Normandy coast, for my next overnight, which was going to be a rest day. And this was going to be the famous medieval town of Le Mont Saint-Michel. Now again, Le Mont Saint-Michel is a must-see if you get to Normandy in Brittany. A medieval town that's literally stuck out in the sea with a causeway to it. There are buses to it. It was very busy. This was August. There was a lot of tourists there. But when you go and stay overnight, you get to see it in a different light. Now, my final day on the bike, started off with again an early start and headed out down the Brittany coast this time, very flat, passing all the mussel beds along the coast and heading to the beautiful medieval walled city of St. Malo. Now I'd like to reflect on some of the mistakes that I made, and my first mistake happened on my very first day, and I literally left my phone charger and my phone cable in the hotel in Portsmouth. That was a nightmare. So one of the things that I do now is I double check where I leave, when I leave a hotel, I make doubly sure that I have everything. Now, the second thing was to be prepared for weather. Living in Australia, you don't normally get cold or wet weather. I did on one of the days get a bit of rain, a fair bit of rain, and I was drenched. So I've since learned to at least carry decent rain jacket and trousers. And the other thing is to keep your electronics dry. I thought I'd kept my phone dry, which I was using for navigation, and that got wet and obviously died, which left me in a predicament. Luckily, I knew where I was going and I could follow signs, but it just adds to the stress of the whole trip. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, this route and my days are shared on my Ride with GPS profile, and you can reach it by scanning on this QR code. Now that concludes this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and share and hit subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.